This is the Cadillac Escalade Sport Platinum, and it is an absolutely absurd ride in all of the best ways. It's an absolute monster of a ride. It's powered by a 6.2-liter V8 engine with the option for a supercharged variety, and there are so many features you're going to find inside of this ride. Pricing for the Escalade in Canada starts at an eye-watering $126,000 versus in the States a little over $90,000, with the price point going up depending on which trim level that you're in, which drivetrain that you've chosen, your paint choices. Are you in the V Series, which is the supercharged engine, which gets north of $200,000 in Canada? So it is pricey. This one is in the Raven Black exterior, and I wouldn't expect anything else from an Escalade. The black looks incredibly sharp, but this one is spec'd out slightly different. So it's got 24-inch wheels that are available optionally, but it's metallic, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it does look nice, but the sport model, I think, should have the blacked out wheels, because you could get 22s or 24s that are dark. The 22s in the sport are dark, so I'm not crazy about the look here. The black on black, I think, would just look a little bit more aggressive. If you want something a little bit different, there is the option for a Brembo brake package inside of this, which gives you a painted red caliper, which looks pretty nice. Looking at the drivetrain inside of the Escalade, you'll find it rear-wheel drive standard in the States. There's four-wheel drive and then all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is going to be in the V Series, but if you want a good explanation of the differences in drivetrains, Engineering Explained has an excellent video explaining them all. So I'll link that down in the description. But let's do... it's obviously... I don't want to push it too much, but that's nice. Oh, that handles like a cloud. And then just over some... Yeah, even here. All right, 180 here. Ooh. Okay, that's surprising. I thought I was going to have to three-point that for sure, but hold on. The growl. The front end lights inside of the Escalade look so good. And when you start it up at nighttime, seeing that light dance that's available, oh, there's just something about it that works. Nice. So there are obviously LED lamps inside of this ride, and then so much technology you're going to find too. So there's the forward park sensing system along with a front-facing camera. So there is a full 360 view available inside of this ride. And the camera quality that you get inside of the Escalade, like a lot of other Cadillac vehicles, is excellent. Underneath the hood of the Escalade, there are two different engine choices that are available. So they're technically the same 6.2-liter V8 engine. It's just that when you get into the V Series, it's supercharged. But inside of every other model, you're looking at the 6.2-liter V8 that pushes out 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. So, gotta get myself back up to highway speed here. We'll go in 3, 2, and... 100. And like, this is the thing, this isn't even the supercharged version of the ride. So the supercharged version, it gives you 50% more power in comparison to this. The engine, the performance inside of this thing is absurdly good. And that growl, that 6.2-liter V8 growl, that's not something you're going to get in other engines. Because, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at an Escalade, the one car you're probably going to compare it to is going to be the Lincoln Navigator. And don't get me wrong, that Lincoln Navigator engine, 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6, is going to be more fuel efficient than the Cadillac, than the Escalade here. But, I mean, the growl that you get inside of this ride is so good. So if power's your thing, go for the V Series, but you are paying a premium price to get it. And then underneath the hood here, if you're changing oil yourself, you could kind of easily do it. And then you can top up your wiper fluid along the right-hand side. And looking at the warranty inside of the Cadillac world, it's pretty solid. Your basic is 3 years, powertrain is 6 years, and then there's 4 years of included maintenance when you do purchase your vehicle. So that's just one of the added benefits of being a Caddy owner. Take it in for regularly scheduled maintenance, regular service. These cars should last you. Damn, is it a fun drive too. The Escalade features power folding side view mirrors that can be locked out if you'd like to permanently. They've got turn signals built in. There's a camera there. They're heated, auto dimming, and they also have a blind spot system. So if somebody enters the blind spot on either side, it's going to let you know. And one crazy thing about the doors, so you just do a light tap in the back to open. Opens them up. Power deployable running boards that you can lock down into place. Style-wise, you've got this nice wood grain with a metallic highlight. You'll find driver's seat memory, basic controls to your side view, your windows, and then you've got a nice galvanized metallic candle with some storage down low. There is only a single speaker choice you're going to find inside of this ride. It's a 19 speaker AKG, and it sounds amazing. Got this Cadillac scuff plate, and then basic controls here for the seats with the option of adjusting the seat multiple ways, including massage chair seat capabilities. All right, then you can shut the door a few different ways too. So if you look here, swipe to close. That's absurd. Oh, I love it. It's so good. Okay, so the seat's as far down as it's going to go too. And look at this. What's that? 5-6 inches at least of headspace? That is even more, like probably 6+ inches of headspace. I'm 6 feet tall for comparison's sake. That's ridiculous. Super comfortable too inside of this ride. Oh, that's nice. And then, I love the finish there. Speakers built right in to the headrest cushions too. Oh, I love it. Looking at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Cadillac Escalade. This is the newer 2025 Plus model, and I gotta say, the redesign is wild. Like that big wraparound screen with a smaller infotainment is incredible. But let's dive in and I'll show you what you need to know. First thing is that the steering wheel inside of the ride is going to be heated, so you can toggle it on using the button there with a single level. It's going to be a power telescoping steering wheel too, so just down by the left side of the steering wheel column, you can go in, out, up and down in order to find that perfect position for you. And then what you're going to do is adjust your driver's seat the way that you'd like it to be set up. From there, inside of our little baby screen here, if you go into your settings here, you've got massage chair seats, which are great, but you can also adjust out different parts of the seat. So different adjustment positions. Do you want to adjust out the upper, lower part, your seat bolsters, things like that? So you can easily adjust these out. So many different ways. Once you've got that set up, you can save it here, but you want to do a few more things. So adjust your steering wheel the way that you'd like to, adjust your side view mirrors the way that you'd like to. You're then going to tap set 1 or 2 in order for it to remember your own personal profile. So if somebody's played around with your settings, all you're going to do from there, just push and hold in order to reset it to your position. And then there are so many different buttons and stalks. Starting off along the left-hand side, you've got a series of other switches. So auto means that the vehicle is going to figure out if you're in 2 high, 4 high, or 4 low automatically. Where you want to use these, 2 high the majority of the time. So that's essentially going to be rear wheel drive. 4 high is going to be for slippery, snowy conditions. 4 low if you're going rock crawling, any sort of off-roading really, if you're doing any sort of heavy towing, pulling a boat out of water, etc. That's where you want to be in 4 low. And then from there, you've got your different mode buttons there too. So with your modes, those are going to be all of your available drive modes. So sport mode is a fantastic system. You want to be in sport mode the majority of the time if you want the best possible performance. But then touring mode gives you the best possible economy. And then you've got your own custom mode that you can set up there too. And then you can also raise or lower the vehicle height. The maximum vehicle height, you're going to have to be in the 4 low setting. So in order to get to 4 low, you just tap the button there. You'd have to shift yourself into neutral, and after a few seconds, you could then adjust your ride height easily from there. Up or down. It's nice. You've got your parking brake there, so electronics, you just button push in order to turn it on. You just have to hit the brake pedal, push again in order to turn it off. There's your integrated brake controller, so if you're pulling a trailer that has brakes, and then you can also adjust the brightness of the cluster screen this way. And then different buttons and stalks. So let's go ahead with the stalk along the left-hand side. So you could do a light push on the button on the tip of the left stick, and that's going to be for your windshield wiper, so it's just a quick wipe. If you do a push and hold, that's going to get that windshield wiper fluid going. And then you've obviously got your blinkers there. When you're out of park, you can hit the turn stalk going left or right, and that's going to show you what's going on inside of your blind spot. It is a feature that you have to have set up through the infotainment system, but it's pretty neat. And then you can also control your wiper speed. So you're going to use the one along the left-hand side to adjust your wiper speed there. One of the crazy levels off to the right side, that's going to be for your rear wiper. And then you can also push up down there in order to be able to get that rear wiper fluid going. There is also a rear camera washer too. Just push and hold there in order to get that wipe going. The stalk along the right-hand side is going to be for your shifter. So you just push in order to go into neutral, up for reverse, in and down for drive. And then there's a dedicated low gear. So when you're in drive, you then push down in order to drop into low. And then you could also use the paddle shifters at that point in order to adjust out what gear that you're in. If you've never used paddle shifters before, pretty easy to use, but you're essentially dropping down gears here in order to be able to rely on engine braking. Or if you needed to get a little bit of quick speed, drop down in order to shoot up your RPMs to pass somebody quicker. If you want to walk through on actually using paddle shifters, you'll find that down in the description of the video. To put yourself into park, button on the tip of the right stick in order to do it. And there's so many different buttons and stalks. So start off with the left-hand side here. These ones are going to be for cruise control, obviously with the exception of your heated steering wheel button. So what you're going to do is you can toggle the cruise control system on this way. And you can see there when you do, you've got a message there that lets you know that cruise control is turned on. You then set your speed by pushing down. You can increase or decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time by pushing up or down this way. Push and hold up or push and hold down in order to increase or decrease at larger increments. From there, you can hit the brake to cancel your speed, you can hit the cancel button to cancel your speed, and then you push up to resume your previously set speed. But there are 3 different types of cruise. So there's normal, adaptive, and then super cruise, which is full hands-free driving. So if you take that cancel button, you push and hold it, you're going to get a message in the cluster screen. There we go. Regular cruise control is selected. So that's your old school cruise. You set it at 80, the car in front of you slows down. Yours won't slow down. So you just have to be paying attention. But if you push and hold again, we get into adaptive cruise control. And that's where this gap adjustment button comes into play. So it's how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you. So 3 unique levels. Think of that like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi for how close or far you are away from that leading car. I'm personally okay on level 1. Most of the time you might want to be on 2 or 3, just depending on your own comfort level. And then there's Super Cruise, which is full hands-free driving, so it's just not available here. Now, you do have a steering wheel that's going to pop up on that side of the screen. So with the adaptive cruise control system turned on, you'll find a little white steering wheel pop up there and lets you know that Super Cruise is available. When it is, you tap the button there to turn it on. This part of the steering wheel might go green immediately, letting you know that Super Cruise is turned on, or it might go blue. Even when you're driving, it might switch from green to blue. So when it's going blue, that essentially means that Super Cruise is temporarily paused. So it's unavailable for whatever reason. You might get a message in the cluster screen letting you know that it's because the lane's ending, you're in an exit lane, whatever the case may be. But when it's available again, that's going to go green. And then it's full hands-free driving. So you can take your hands off the steering wheel, feet off the gas and the brake, and the car is going to do everything. Keep you in your lane. It's going to slow down, speed up as necessary based off of the speed that you have set, which you can adjust out while Super Cruise is going. On top of that, there's also the option for Super Cruise Lane Change Assist. So inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your settings and then vehicle, got your Super Cruise lane change. So where that comes into play is with the Super Cruise system enabled. So you've got 3 individual settings there. So it's either going to be off, turn signal activated, or automatic. So with off, you have to hit the turn stalk and then you just have to manually change lanes yourself. With the turn signal activated, with Super Cruise enabled, you hit the turn stalk to go left or right. The vehicle is going to check if there's anybody beside you, and then it's automatically going to move over for you. Automatic takes that to the next level. So with the Super Cruise system enabled, you don't even need to hit the turn stalk to go left or right. If you've got this setting turned on and the vehicle speed set, if the car in front of you is going too slow, the car will automatically put the turn signal on for you. It's going to change lanes for you automatically, pass that car, and then hit the turn signal to go back into that lane if there's space available. It is an absolutely brilliant system. I recommend getting used to it and using it all the time. But if you want a live demonstration actually seeing cruise control work in person, you'll find that down in the description of this video. And then you've got a series of other buttons here. So the ones along the right-hand side are going to be for adjusting out your presets. So if you've got presets that have been selected, you'd go up or down this way in order to jump between all of those stations. From there, you can answer or hang up on a phone call. You can push the bottom button in order to mute your audio. So you could adjust your audio up, down this way, mute out using this button. There's a voice command prompt. Change the fan speed to 3.
All right, changing the fan speed to 3.
So you can adjust climate using your voice. It is a very, very simple process to do. You can turn on your heated ventilated seats, steering wheel, and things like that. Adjust climate using your voice. You could navigate using your voice, change the radio station, and so many things. You could hit the button here to do it, or you could say, hey Google, and that's going to pull up your assistant that way. You've also got this button, which is going to be for all of your available sources. So you can go up or down in order to change between different sources that were available. Push in the middle, so that acts as an OK button. So if you ever get any messages in the cluster screen there, just push in order to say OK. And then this button, so if you're not on this screen, if you're just here, you could then push up or down in order to move between a few different types of gauge looks, which I'll touch on as we hop inside of that cluster screen. And one other thing I want to point out, specifically with the lights, if we go to our little baby screen here, you can tap either the lighting icon there or your controls. But if you're on this screen, go back a level. That's going to bring you into auto high beams and then your headlamp mode. Keep the auto high beams on all the time in the auto mode there too for your headlights. The reason why is because if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. At nighttime, you can push away in order to permanently lock those high beams out if you want to. But if you want your high beams permanently locked out all the time, you're going to go into the bottom headlamp mode or the headlight mode there. From there, just push away to turn them on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. So it's simple enough to use. I do recommend keeping yourself in the auto mode the majority of the time. Then inside of the cluster screen, you've got the direction that you're currently facing, along with your current odometer, whether or not you've got the lane keeping system turned on, if you've got the cruise control system turned on off, current vehicle speed with your tachometer there, your current fuel level done a few different ways, what drive mode you're currently in, so 2-wheel, 4 high, 4 low, etc. What gear you're in, so park, reverse, neutral, drive. If you have the forward, reverse park sensing system, which you will, how close you are to obstacles in front of you. On top of that, and then you've also got this, which is going to be for your audio. And then you saw earlier, you can go up or down this way. So you've got your gauge look, which looks nice, but you've got a Google Map view too. Hey Google, navigate to Tim Hortons. There we go. And start like that. Full mapping cluster inside of this ride. And then you'd also be able to see your turn-by-turn directions right inside of the head-up display. And then down the little screen here, so we take this baby screen, we tap this, you can adjust out individual elements of the head-up display. So you can toggle it off completely, so if you just don't want that head-up display anymore. But then you can also adjust the brightness. I always recommend maximum brightness. You can adjust the height and the rotation. So how high or low, so we come into focus there, does that head-up display sit? So if you tend to have if you have a tendency to sit one side or the other, you can rotate it, move it up or down as necessary from there. Then as we move between different modes, if you go back to your gauge view, you can see just your turn-by-turn directions there. Drop down into your driver assistance view, you've got that view, so you've got your lane markings there. So if the vehicle recognizes the lane markings, different systems are enabled, that'll go green. And then you've got 2 different modes. Night vision is available here. So night vision is not standard across the board inside of the ride, but as you drive around at night, if the vehicle recognizes that there are pedestrians or there are animals, things like that, it's actually going to give you a heads up, letting you know that there's something there. So essentially going to go yellow if it recognizes something, and then your AR camera is there too. So if you've got an active route going where you're coming to an upcoming turn, you're going to get arrows pointing which way you need to turn. I think the look of it as you drive is so neat. This is part of the new infotainment system that you're going to find inside of the Cadillac Escalade. Now I say part of it because you've got this main screen in the middle. Just underneath, you've got a little climate control section that has a series of other controls. Fully digital cluster screen, and then all on the outside there's also a passenger screen too, where the passenger would be able to watch videos and things like that. And it also kind of blocks things off as you're driving, so the driver can't look over and see what's going on. So there's a lot to know about what's going on inside of the new generation Cadillacs. So let's dive in and I'll show you everything that you need to know. First thing, you've got your trip counter along the outside there, which is locked into place. To a degree, you can customize that, which I'll show you as we go. You've got your current outside temperature, your current time, and then your basic icon layout. Along the very bottom of the screen, you can see a series of different icons. So the left two are completely locked into place, so there's no customizing them whatsoever. The other four can be customized, so you can just do a drag and flip if you wanted to get rid of it. And then you can choose the majority of the options here. So maybe you wanted a hot button push for your trailering, you can add that in. You can also customize the icon layout. So if you do a push and hold, that's going to loosen it, and then you can drag it around, even onto the opposite page, or the next page over, I should say, in order to create that perfect setup for you. Now, you might notice as I go through that I'm moving using the screen, but you also might notice that I start to move around without actually touching the screen. And that's because just underneath this lower infotainment system, you have a series of other buttons. So you've got one specifically for your volume, so you can push into mute and then adjust your volume out this way. You've also got a basic back button. There's a home button that brings you back to the home page there. There's a button press to get to your media, and then one for navigation. And then you've got this big dial in the middle that you can use in order to navigate through the screen. So you're just rotating, and then it acts as a giant button too. So if you just push, that essentially acts as an OK button there. So you might notice that I go through the screen with touching the screen here, or it's moving around, and that's the reason why. Now, a few other things to point out. Along the very bottom, you've got the little icon there that says D. So that one there is going to be for all of your driver profiles. The benefit there, if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, it's going to remember any addresses, any phones you've got set up, your presets and things like that. So if you've got multiple people driving, you definitely want to go that route. And there's one other thing for security that you can do. If you tap on Manage Profile, you've got your profile info where you can look at all of your profile details, but you can go to security, which is going to let you enter in a PIN for either a pattern PIN or a password for your individual profile. So people can't just look through all of your information. So useful. You can also lock, unlock with your phone on top of that. So I said multiple people driving, but I'd recommend, even if it's just you driving, set up that pattern PIN or a password so people can't just look through your settings, previously search for addresses and things like that. And there's this button. I forgot to point that one out. So you see this little feller. That one is actually for your glove box, because down low, there's no button or toggle or anything in order to open up that box. So all you got to do, button push, in order to get inside. But let's dive into the main screen elements here. This first one is going to be your vehicle status. You've got your maintenance gauges and your trip information. So you've got your tire pressure, brake life, etc. But you've got this outer part where you can add this into the driver display or remove it just to get the current date. And that's the same thing for a number of things. If you want your maintenance information, if you want your different gauges there, if you want your trip counters there, you can move through, add to the display, and then you can reset trip counter 1 or trip counter 2. So trip counter 1, haven't gotten the best economy because I've been pushing it a little bit and a lot of city driving. And then you've got your overall counter along the bottom. Pretty simple. You've got all of your different trip information, fuel economy, etc. Back home from there, you've got your My Cadillac. There is a Cadillac app available for iPhones and for Android devices that's going to let you do things like remote start the vehicle, lock and unlock the doors, and a number of other things. It's a pretty simple app to use. You've got your Google Assistant here too, so you can tap the Assistant button that way if you want to. So you can adjust the climate using your voice. You'd be able to turn on your heated, ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. You could navigate and do so many things using your voice. Your best bet, honestly, is when you first get your vehicle, I'd actually recommend going through the screen, just kind of playing around with different things, because like I said, there are so many things that you can do using your voice there. Next up is audio. You've got USB available, and that's strictly going to be for audio, so it doesn't have support for video playback inside of this ride. You've got a series of other options there for your basic media. Back, you've got your different sound settings that are available, where you can adjust at your treble, mid-range, and bass. Something like this is really heavy. So what I'd recommend, play one of your favorite songs and adjust this out until it sounds perfect for you. I had it cranked because I was playing around with it earlier. Something like this I found works well. But what I'd recommend, play one of your favorite songs, and while that song is playing, adjust these out until it sounds perfect for your ears. You can adjust out the balance and fade, so you do want it driver focused, rear focused, center focused, back out to the middle there. And then you've got your sound modes, so same idea, front focus, rear focus. Do you want stereo versus a 3D, more immersive audio experience? There's adaptive volume, so as you're going faster or slower, it's going to raise or lower that volume. You can also manage your radio favorites. So if you've got different stations that are set up as presets, you'd be able to delete or reorganize them as necessary. So let's actually start fresh. I'll show you why in a second here. Delete, delete, and delete. All right, and back. If we go back to our sources now, swipe. You've got AM, FM, SiriusXM, and Bluetooth. So if we go through any of these, you can see we are now completely open for all of our presets. So you could easily tune to stations this way if you want to. Hold on, let's just save our first station in. You can hit this in order to see all of the available stations in your area. And then you can go through and easily star out different stations. So if there are stations that you tend to listen to the most, just go through, save all of your stations in. And once we've got a bunch of these set up, you can tune this way too if you'd like to. Nice and simple. And we've saved in some different stations. Now you can change stations this way. Hey Google, 102.1 FM.
Okay, streaming 102.1 FM.
You can also change stations using your voice, so it's simple doing that. And then if we go to AM for a second, you've got all of your available stations there too. Let's say if we wanted to just save in one of these stations, we've now got the extra station added in. And then if we go to SiriusXM, that gives us some other options. If an artist is playing, you'd be able to pause it. We can play an artist station, look at related content. From there, you've also got this little icon, and it's going to bring up all of your different category views. So if you're a big fan of different music, sports, talk, etc., you can see that. You can hit this icon in order to do tune to start. You've got all of your basic SiriusXM information. Back home, you've got Google Maps available inside of this ride. So this is a Google-based system, which is why you've got all these Google services here. But Google Maps is incredibly easy to use. You can easily search for addresses here, point of interest icons. You can go by GPS coordinates, so latitude first, longitude second. You can search using your voice this way. You can tap here to see different options. So if you wanted to look at some route options, do you want to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that? You've got offline map capabilities. So if you're going somewhere where you know you're not going to have an active data plan, you'd be able to download maps on top of that. And back, you can mute out alerts. So unmuted means that you're going to get those turn-by-turn alerts with a voice speaking to you. You can completely mute it out, or you can just get alerts. You can change up your heading there. So do you want to be north, up, etc. Full pinch to zoom capabilities. Zoom in or out this way. Recenter it back on you. You can tap this in order to sign into your Google account. And the benefit there, if you've been on your phone and you've been searching for addresses on your phone while signed into your Google account, those addresses that you've searched for are going to get pulled directly into the infotainment system here. So you'd be able to see all of your previously searched for addresses. But let's set up a route. Hey Google, navigate to Tim Hortons.
There's a Tim Hortons 0.3 kilometers away. Want to navigate there?
So I'm just going to tap there because I want to select one that's a little bit further away. Let's go to number 6. Yeah, nice and far. And the reason why, so you can start here, but you've also got this, and you can see different routes to get to that end destination. You can look at some different route options if they were available. You can add in an additional stop. Maybe you don't want to go to Tim Hortons first. You want to go to another destination. So maybe you want to fill up on fuel. You've got that option. Select any of these, add the stop in, and then you can drag around. If you wanted to change up the options there, you can add in multiple destinations. So if you're doing a road trip, you're stopping at 5, 6, 7 different spots, you can add them in, tap done, and then you're going to hit start, and that's going to start the route. And then to cancel a route, you just hit the X button there to cancel. You can remove just the next stop or fully exit navigation, which just brings us back to this main screen. You can hit search there in order to look at any recently searched for addresses, save stations, things like that. And then if you wanted to minimize this box, you've got that arrow there. You're just going to tap that, and then you've got a fuller screen map. But that's using navigation. It's really straightforward because it's Google-based, which means next up is going to be adding in a phone. And actually, what I want to do, start off on Apple CarPlay. So let's go ahead and add in a phone. Now, all I want to do to start connecting, just tap phone here and manage phones, and let's add in a new phone. So you can see there, Bluetooth pairing. So just pull up Bluetooth on your device. And we're looking for Cadillac there. Pins match up, so let's go ahead and pair and pair. Do you want to allow contacts and favorites to sync up? This is not my car, so I'm saying no to that one. and it's going to connect over Bluetooth now. So you'd be able to stop here. You can connect over Bluetooth in order to make phone calls and stream audio, but you've also got wireless Apple CarPlay inside of the ride. It is backwards compatible, so you could use a USB cable, whether that's a Type A or a Type C. You're plugging in the armrest in order to do it, but let's use wireless because we've got a wireless charge pad. So just tap Use CarPlay. You have to enable there, and it'll take a second. Perfect. Do you want to allow the vehicle to check for CarPlay apps? Just hit allow there, and you are fully connected to CarPlay right now. You can tap here to go to your little icon view. Tap again to get to this home screen, and then you can hit here or swipe across as necessary. On the top here, you've got your current time, connection, and battery level. These are the apps that were last opened. So your last opened map, audio application, miscellaneous, and then this screen is kind of customizable. So you're always going to have whatever map application was open last. Search box and the audio box will always be there. If you've got a calendar notification coming up to date that hasn't passed, that would show up there. If there's no calendar notification, search and audio would be stretched across the top there, and then swiping across. Now, let's say if you can't even get to this step because CarPlay is not working, check down in the description of this video. I've put together a little walkthrough explaining some common CarPlay fixes that you can try. But you can actually customize the screen a few different ways. So if you hit the settings icon there, you can put yourself into driving focus. You can adjust the wallpaper. So maybe you have a preference for different color schemes. You can change it around for something that suits your taste. Then you can also adjust the icon layout here. In order to do it, what you're going to do on your phone, go into Settings, General, and then CarPlay. Find your vehicle. You can forget it. There's enhanced integration, which I'll touch on, and you can also customize. So maybe you want your podcast along the top, and you're a big fan of using a different map application, you can adjust it there. Anything with a minus next to it, you could also remove it from the vehicle. So you can remove a bunch of these apps if you'd like to. If you've played around with the layout too much and you really don't like what you've done, along the top right side of the phone, there's a reset option. So just tap reset, reset, and that brings you back to that factory default layout for the icons. Then you've also got the option of toggling on your Siri assistant too. So if you push and hold the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, that is going to bring up your Siri assistant.
Sorry.
A short button push brings up the assistant for the vehicle, but a long push is your phone assistant. And there are a ton of apps inside of this screen. You've got Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Waze that are all here. Unfortunately, no pinch to zoom capabilities. You could hit here in order to be able to search for different addresses. Tap back from there. You could hit this in order to zoom in or out though. So if you wanted to go that route, I personally prefer using Waze because people are pretty good at marking things off. So speed traps and things like that. And you can give drivers a heads up too if there are other obstacles along the route. And then there are other apps. Hoopla's a library app, Live One's a radio app. You've got YouTube Music, strictly YouTube Music. You don't have the option of using YouTube video or any video sources inside of the screen. That's one thing I would like to see, especially when you're parked. Now, one thing that you might have noticed is that when I was in my CarPlay settings, if we go General CarPlay, inside the vehicle, there's enhanced integration. Where that comes into play, let's say if I've got an active route going. So let's just select this. So with an active route going inside of the cluster screen, if you take this button and you push, you've now got Apple CarPlay. It was Google Maps before. So if you tap Apple CarPlay, that's going to push whatever map you've got going right inside of the cluster. The quality isn't really that good. It's there though, which is nice. So you at least have your turn-by-turn directions there. So if you wanted to run off of a different screen on that main part of the infotainment with that map inside of the cluster screen, you've got that option. This is one of the added benefits of the enhanced integration system. And tap back from there, but that's using CarPlay. If you tap the home icon, you can tap CarPlay there, or the CarPlay icon to jump back in, hitting back home again. If you go to Settings, Connections, Phone, well, you can toggle CarPlay off completely if you like, but you can go Phones, and we're connected over CarPlay. You can disconnect CarPlay, reconnect just over Bluetooth. Hitting Options there gives you a few other options, including disconnecting or completely forgetting the device. But that's how you use Apple devices inside of the Escalade. Using Android devices inside of the Escalade is pretty simple. In order to do it, you're going to tap the plus icon here if you're not on the phone screen. From there, what you're going to do, go into your settings, connections, phones, and then just hit the plus icon and let's tap switch phones. If you didn't have another phone connected, that option, it would just connect right to the phone or give you the option of connecting from there. But on your device, we're looking for vehicle name, pin numbers match up, so let's go ahead and pair. And it's connecting over Bluetooth, so you can stop here and just use Bluetooth for phone calls and for audio. But you've also got wireless Android Auto, but before that, it's asking, do I want all access to contacts and messages? This is not my car, so I'm saying no there. But let's go ahead and enable wireless Android Auto. It is backwards compatible, so you could use a USB-A or a USB-C cable inside of the armrest. Once you get to this screen, welcome to Android Auto. Let's go ahead and just continue. And there we go, we are launched in. You've got Google Maps built in here, obviously, because we're an Android device. You can swipe across because you've got this little split screen, and then you can hit the little map icon there to go full screen. So full screen versus your little split screen there too. Then along the outside, it's your current connection level along with your battery level. And then you've got your maps with a few other miscellaneous applications from there. You can hit here to activate the Google Assistant for your phone, or long button push and hold on the steering wheel in order to activate your phone assistant that way. You can tap here in order to be able to get into a series of icons. But if you've got Waze installed on your Android device and it's not showing up, check down in the description of this video for a little walkthrough on how to add that in. You can also customize the layout of these icons. So if you want to do it, on your Android device, you're going to search for Android Auto, go into Android Auto settings, and once you get into that Android Auto settings screen, so many options. But we're looking for customize launcher, anything with a check mark next to it. So you can customize launcher, so you can either add it back in or you can remove it from the screen. So you're just going to button push there. You can just do a drag and drop there too. So maybe you didn't want Waze along the top, just push and hold in order to drag these into different spots. But for these changes to come into effect, what we're going to do is tap the swap phone icon along the very bottom. You're going to tap the icon there. From there, you're just going to disconnect from Android Auto. You're going to reconnect to Android Auto. And a second later, go back to the icons. The changes that we've made have come into effect. So it's not dynamic, but it's easy enough to be able to adjust these out. If you hit the swap icon there again, you could disconnect from Android Auto, so just reconnecting over Bluetooth. Hit options there in order to show first to connect. So if you've got multiple phones connected to the vehicle, who's it going to try to connect to first? You can disconnect the phone or you can completely forget it. So forget. That phone's been disconnected. Let's do the same thing. So connect or forget. Let's forget. And you're set to go. But that's how you set up phones inside of the Cadillac Escalade. And back up from there, so you've got CarPlay, Android Auto. They're grayed out now because I don't have any phones connected. Obviously, if they weren't grayed out, those would show up. You can tap back here in order to add in another device. You've got your camera that's available here too. So you've got your front view versus back view, and then you've got a series of separate views that are available here too. There's a trailer view that's available. So if you're pulling a trailer, and then you've got your different guideline views that are available. So whether or not those show up. And then if we go here into reverse, you've got your guidelines there. So if you're not a fan of those guidelines, you can easily toggle them off. But I mean, I'm personally a big fan, and they are dynamic. As you rotate the steering wheel, they're going to go left versus right. But I mean, having that camera is great. The side mounted cameras aren't the best quality, but the front back cameras, fantastic. They look great at nighttime. And then one neat thing, when you're in drive, you hit the turn stalk to go left or right. You've got the option of setting it up so that it's going to show you what's going on in your blind spot right inside of that screen. So the quality of that side mounted camera is not the greatest, so I would definitely like to see that upgraded, but it's nice that it's at least there as an option. If you're pulling a trailer, you've got a series of different trailer options. You can see your brakes, light, your weight, and things like that for the trailer. There are a boatload of different settings that are available inside of the ride, which I'll touch on last. You're going to find a bunch of ambient light choices too, so you can toggle it off. You can select a series of different colors. But one thing I love is that you've got the flexibility of linking it to your drive mode. So as you move between different drive modes, the color is going to change out. I just love the look when you're in that sport mode. Oh, it looks so nice. But you've got the flexibility of easily adjusting out the ambient light color there to something different, linking it to the drive mode. You can adjust the style, the brightness, things like that. Back from there, you've got Park Assist inside of the ride. So Auto Park Assist gives you the option for the vehicle to help you out with both parallel and perpendicular parking in and out of spaces. If you want to walk through it actually using Park Assist though, you'll find that walkthrough down in the description of this video. Here, there's a Wi-Fi hotspot that's available inside of the ride. So instead of chewing through the data on your phone, you'd be able to connect to the vehicle directly. It does require an active plan through GM in order to be able to use it. There's an entertainment hub here too. At a minimum, you'll have the entertainment hub at least for that front passenger screen. So that's this one here. So you've got your HDMI. The HDMI port, if you're using that, is located down low, but you've got some different options for the screen. So you can toggle it back off again. So if you wanted to, there we go, turn that screen off, you could. Power it back on. From there, swipe across to give you some different options. Then, this one also has the available head units for the second row seats. So just in behind the driver passenger seat, there are screens there. There are 2 HDMI ports underneath the back in order to be able to utilize those screens. So it's strictly going to be HDMI, but you can set up multiple headphones on each screen. So if you wanted the kids to be able to just do their thing, or you could also play audio, you can lock out the screens too so people can't use them. You've got options for your front screen, your rear screens, and then you've got different setting options that are available there too. Playstore is available here. One of the benefits of signing into the Playstore is that you'd be able to download a bunch of different apps directly to the screen. And the other option, when you're logged in, it also sets this up so that if you search for addresses on your phone while signed into your Google account, it's going to pull those addresses in. There's Alexa, News, Spotify, and then obviously if you were to download more, those would also show up. Which leaves us with all of the available settings, and there are so many options here. Starting off with connections, you've got your phone, you can disable Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. There's your wireless hotspot that's available there too. You've got a series of different vehicle settings, so adjusting your audio out, which we've already seen. You've got drive mode customization, so you've got a series of different drive modes available. So you can select which drive mode that you're in down here. So you just push in order to move between different modes. So there are 5 modes total, but your My mode there is the one that gives you the flexibility to be able to customize. So now let's go back home for a second here into vehicle drive mode customization. So you can change it your steering, suspension, engine sound. So it's essentially going to be your My mode or your individual mode. The main modes should have you covered off enough there. So if we go back through, your touring mode is your day-to-day driving. Sport mode gives you the best possible performance. So rather than it shifting at, let's say, 2,500 RPM, it might hold on and shift at 4,000 RPM. And then you've got your off-road mode. It's going to raise the vehicle up. Tow haul mode is there. And then there's also your individual My mode there too. And then just back to touring. So you're going to be in touring the majority of the time, but you can customize the ride to make it your own if you'd like. There are a series of different options for your doors, locks on top of that. So you've got your power door, which you can have it open up all the way, standard opening or max. Where that comes into play is actually just down this middle screen. So if you go to your icons there, so your little control module, you've got doors, you can actually tap along the top there. And then if you just slide, that can open the door. And then you can also slide in order to close. So how far open or closed do you want these to be? I love that you've got all of these controls available here. Your lock, unlock, glove box opening. So essentially a couple of hot pushes there. It's really neat. And then you've also got your brake to close driver door. So rather than swiping to open or close or hitting the handle here to close, once you get inside, you start up, you can tap the brake and it's automatically going to close the door for you. When do you want your doors to automatically unlock or do you not want them to? So just off means the doors will never automatically unlock. When you turn the vehicle off, do all doors become unlocked or just the driver's door? Let's see here. Valet mode is going to lock the screen out. So you enter in a number there and then the people essentially wouldn't be able to navigate through the infotainment system. Teen driver lets you set up some limitations to an individual key fob. Rear seat reminder, if those second row doors have been opened up and then you turn the vehicle off, go to hop outside, it's going to give you a message in the cluster screen letting you know to check the back seats. Buckle to drive. When you first start the vehicle up, you got to put it into drive. You wouldn't be able to drive away until you're buckled in. Eventually, it's going to let you go anyways, but I just keep that one turned off. See, there's your turn signal activated view, which we saw that. So if you're out of park, that's going to be your turn signal activated view. So does that show up, yay or nay? Climate control available here too. So when you go to start the vehicle up, you've got your heated ventilated seats on at startup, defog, defrost. All of your other climate control settings are done just in that lower screen, which I'll touch on after the main infotainment walkthrough here. Series of different options for collision detection, braking avoidance, things like that. Now, some of these things, when you disable the system, it's going to give you weird messages. Right there. inside of the cluster screen. That just lets you know that there's a safety setting that's been disabled. So I recommend just keep all of these safety settings turned on unless you're going on a track. They're good systems overall. Let's see, Park Assist with braking. So as you go to back up, getting into a spot, whatever the case may be, if there's something in behind you don't see, it can brake for you. If you're backing up and something's coming perpendicular, so from the left or the right side, it can let you know of a potential collision. If there's a pedestrian back there, it's going to give you a heads up and let you know. Driver attention assist, so if you start to doze off, if you're looking like you're not paying attention, it's going to let you know that you should probably take a break. You can toggle that bad boy off. Lighting that's available, so the exterior choreography. When you walk up to the vehicle, you remote start, unlock the doors, etc. It looks really, really nice at nighttime. The choreography dance is fantastic. But you can change that off so that it's just static, so it comes on, or there's no choreography whatsoever. But yeah, the look of it at nighttime, I think it makes it worth it. Remote lock, unlock, and start. So when you go to unlock the vehicle, do you get lights? When you go to lock, do you want to know that you've actually locked? So I normally recommend at least the horn, but you can go either way. So at least that way you know you've actually locked the vehicle. When you go to unlock, do all doors become unlocked or just the driver's door? When you remote start on the fob, do the heated or ventilated seats come on automatically just based off of the outside temperature? There's window operation there too, so you can use the key fob to do some pretty neat tricks. There's, let's see, door unlocks, etc. So let's actually hop outside and I'll show you how a few of these things work. So in order to remote start, what you're going to do is push the lock button once and the circle button twice. So you just go lock, circle, circle. And you can see there we're started up. In order to cancel the remote start, push and hold that circle button again. And then you've got a few other options. You could double push the bottom button here in order to pop open the glass for the vehicle. And then you can open up the trunk a few different ways. So you can push the big Cadillac button in the back there to do it. You can double push the button there to do it. There's also a proximity sensor base. And that's going to depend on which model year. So this is the 2025. So you walk up towards the back end with the fob and that liftgate's going to open up. You might have to swipe your foot underneath just depending on the model year. But through the fob, button push twice on the outside there in order to pop it open. And then you can also set your own custom height. So from there, all you're going to do is drag to whatever height you'd like to. You then just push and hold the button here for a few seconds. Can you hear that chime? And now it's locked into place, so it wouldn't open up past that point. If you're running into any liftgate issues, so the key fob's not working, check down in the description of this video for some things that you can try. Then, one other thing that you can do, and that's utilizing the key fob in order to roll the windows up and down. To do it, double push the unlock button and you're going to hold on the second press. So go 1, 2, and hold. Watch this. Down they go. Release as they start going down, and that's going to roll the windows down. All 4. To roll them back up, push the lock button twice and then hold on the second press. So 1, 2, and hold. Back up they go. And again, all 4 windows. I love it. Love that it's both back up and down for those windows. You can adjust the ride height here, so you've got easy entry exit for the vehicle height, which means that you get out of the vehicle, it's going to lower it down, hop in, it might raise it up a little bit for you. Your steps, so your deployable running boards, you can have it automatically come out, so when you open up the door, it's going to automatically deploy the running boards. You can stow them, or you can have them deployed on top of that, so they're always down. Where I would say keep them down, if you live somewhere where you get snow a few months out of the year, I recommend keeping them down at that point. You can adjust your seating position for easy entry exit memory. So as you go to turn the vehicle off, it's actually going to back the seat up for you to get in and out a little bit easier. You can adjust your suspension there too for service mode and alignment mode. You're not going to have to worry about that. And then there's also transport mode too. Let's see, that's it for vehicle. There's notifications that are available, so you can toggle notifications off for different apps if you'd like to. There are app options available here, so you can see which apps are available inside of the ride. Most of that, honestly, it's going to be advanced for most people. You can adjust the date and time. Do you want to be in that 12 versus 24-hour mode? So do you prefer that military time? And then time zone and the date and time here are grayed out because you're in the auto mode. You're going to be in the auto mode the majority of the time unless you live somewhere where you straddle a time zone and it constantly flips you back and forward. So you could easily adjust it out there, go automatic, and that's the same thing for the date and time. Got some different options for the display where you can go into a light versus dark mode, or auto means that the vehicle is going to determine whether you're in the light or the dark, just depending on how bright it is outside. And then you can toggle the display off, back on again. You can adjust out some sound levels, so your volumes for each individual option here. So do you want your navigation volume lower, your ringtone or audio volumes high, low, whatever the case may be. So you can adjust the majority of the volumes here. Start at volume maximizer. If you've got your audio cranked, you're rocking out, turn the vehicle back on. What level do you want the audio to be at that point? Profile info if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle. There's some accessibility options for captions. There's an assistant and voice, where if we hit the settings icon, you can choose different languages for your assistant. You can toggle this on, so, hey Google, if you wanted to be able to adjust things like climate, things like that. Do you want to get suggestions? Do you want to get a message summary as they come in? Then you've got a bunch of system information where you can adjust out the system language for the infotainment system here. What keyboard do you want to use? And then your measurement units. So you can change out between either US or metric. This is one of the benefits of it being a fully digital cluster. As you go to adjust it, changes it out. And then even down low with our climate, as you go between US or metric, it changes everything out automatically. And then you've got this lower screen that gives you so many other options too. So you've got all of your climate control settings. You can tap here in order to get to all of your options for heated ventilated seats. You've got your heated steering wheel too. You can tap here for massage chair seats. You can adjust out the position of the seat here too. So if you wanted to adjust things out and fine tune it a little bit more, adjusting the seat bolsters and things like that, you've got that flexibility. So there's a few different switches along the side in order to really customize that part of the seat. That's the same thing once you've got it set up, you could then save your individual position this way, different adjustments, etc. Jumping back, you've got your basic climate control settings there, some advanced settings, which it's always going to default to this screen. So even if you're on any of the other screens, eventually it'll default to this. So you've got your defog, defrost modes, your sync up, you want to control the rear climate, etc. You can adjust it out. So you can adjust it out this way, or by using your voice, which we saw earlier. Actually, that's probably a bad idea. It's a little bit warm outside. Adjusting your fan speed that way. You can hit here in order to look at your different cabin options for airflow front versus back. So do you want it going to windshield face feet? Hitting this brings you into your different temperature options again. So you'll see a few of these things in a few different spots. Park Assist and Auto Park Assist are funny. So Park Assist is that beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles, versus Auto Park Assist is going to be your full Park Assist system, where it can help out with both parallel and perpendicular parking. Driving options, you've got options for disabling traction control or the lane assist, so you can tap there or there to turn it off. Traction control, the only time you want to turn that off, very slippery, snowy conditions where you're not getting good wheel traction. If you're off-roading, things like that, so it's just going to give you better overall handling. Doors and windows, same idea, open and close a few different things. All of your lights, which we've seen. Universal remote, so if you've got a garage door opener at home, you'd be able to easily program that in. And then let's say if the infotainment system is giving you problems. So Android Auto is not working, Apple CarPlay is not working, or any of these screens have frozen up. You could do a full factory reset, but the downside there, under System, Reset, it's going to essentially get rid of everything from the infotainment system. So erase all of your profiles, phones that have been connected, presets, things like that. What you want to do is a soft screen reboot. In order to do it, on the steering wheel, you've got your hang up button there. You're going to take that button and you're going to push and hold for about 10 to 12 seconds or so. So just keep on hanging on. It's going to feel like you're going crazy, but just keep on hanging on. And eventually, inside of the infotainment system, you'll hit this screen. From here, you can enter recovery mode or do a full factory reset, but just do nothing. And after a second here, you'll see that it flips off. So recovery mode, what that's going to do is disable any apps that you've installed, or then you could perform that full factory reset. But outside of that, what we're doing here is a soft reboot, very similar to doing a reboot on your phone. So, I mean, these things are computers. So you do eventually have to clear the cache out, which is what we just did there. So that should solve the majority of issues that you're facing. If it doesn't, you're going to go back into your settings, System, Reset, and then do a full reset instead. So try it in safe mode first, get rid of any apps that you've installed, or just do a full factory reset. So soft screen reboot first, full reboot second, so the full erase infotainment data. If that doesn't work, the third option is going to be bringing it into your dealer for them to check out, see what's going on. We've got the option for your four-way blinkers, auto hold with your climate settings there too. You've also got some storage there, cup holders down low. Oh, you've got a little bit of storage there, like that. Inside, it's a non-lockable armrest. There is a good amount of space inside of this box. Fully removable tray, just in case things get messy. You've got two USB data ports too, so USB-C, USB Type-A. So if you wanted to hook up a USB stick, you could. On top of that, you can use that for wired Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You've got a 12-volt power point there. You've got an auto-dimming rearview mirror that also features fully digital rear view. You can adjust the brightness, you can zoom in, out, you can move this up or down, or flip back to your old school view there. Overhead, you've got some basics there, so your OnStar mode, SOS mode. You've got your control here too for this full panoramic sunroof. Love it. And then from there, you've got other controls. So you can just do a little tilt or full slide. I mean, that just opens things up. So look at how beautiful that is. Oh, that's nice. And then, yeah, single button press. Yeah, it opens it up all the way. And then just a single press to close. From there, you can even control, look at this, yeah, the third row seats from the inside. So cool. You've got controls for your lights there too, and then control for your liftgate. So you could actually toggle the liftgate off completely from the inside. Wild. Oh, wild. From there, you've got a suede headliner here, ticket receipt holder on the outside. On the inside, vanity mirror, hello, with lights built in. And then this little feller stretches out to block all of the sun that's hitting your face. But this thing is an absolute beast. You feel great driving it. Visibility-wise, I don't think you're going to run into an issue there. I didn't when I was driving, and you've got your blind spot system there too. With your Super Cruise hands-free, just goes together so nicely. Like lamb and tuna fish. It's good. All right, hold on. Let's get back to that second row. Got your integrated brake controller there and all other controls, but okay, let's see. Open for me. I love that. I think the one thing this is missing, yeah, so it doesn't have sunshades, but I mean tinted windows. You're covered off there. The same highlight you saw along the first row door. Unlock lock buttons with your handle there. Some storage. You've got a badge there. And then you've got passenger side entertainment units. Hold on. That's so cool. Look at this. This is ridiculous. I don't know why people in the second row would need to see this, but you can control different things here. So you could HDMI, HDMI 2. Like you've got so many options for video and audio inside of this ride. It's wild. Just the screen brightness, toggle the display off. Crazy. Down low, you've got the option of adjusting your climate back here too. That can be locked out through the system there. So if you don't want people fighting back here, you could. Heated second row seats on the outboard seats, obviously there. Cup holders built right in down there. And then a boatload of different power points there. So you've got two USB Type-C and then two individual HDMI ports. So if you wanted that screen and that screen watching something different, you'd have the flexibility to do it. And then you could hook up headphones to each individual screen there too. And whether you go this route or not, it is convenient, but then iPads or something else, you've got that option too. This is wild. Okay, now hold on. With the seat, oh, I love that. So you can use this to slide it forwards or backwards. All right, so with the seat set up this way, I want to leave some space for me in the third row, but I've got some knee space, a lot of foot space, and up overhead, not bad. I'm looking at 2-ish inches of headspace there. The seat's comfortable too. It's the one thing that I really like. The first row seat's comfortable. The second row seats are incredibly comfortable here too. Oh, that's nice. Up overhead, you've got so many controls there. So you've got your HVAC control. There's a light, a speaker, and then you've got this little feller. So it's the same setup here. So a little clothing hook with speaker, overhead light, HVAC control. And you've also got your assist handle there too. Now this is a benefit of having a pass-through to get to the third row. Easy enough. You've got anchor points there, tethers in behind both sets of seats too. Along the outside, you've got a USB power point, some cup holders there. And then seat-wise, so I've got the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall, this seat set up for myself being 6 feet, and then this one, I still have space. I've got a boatload of knee space, foot space, and I've got head space just. So with me sitting fully upright in the back here, my head is like just kind of touching. Like I might maybe like a quarter of an inch or half an inch of clearance space there. But I can fit, which is nice. And I could probably even comfortably fit. Ooh, it'd be tight for 3 full-size adults my size in the third row. Not impossible. People are just going to be shoulder to shoulder. But the middle seat is actually really nice. That's something that always gets neglected. The outboard seats are usually comfortable, which, I mean, the third row seats here are, but the middle seat and the third row is always the forgotten seat, except in this case. It's actually pretty nice. Oh, forgot that. No headrest. That's the only downside. Wild. Now your seatbelt is up there for that third row. You've got cabin control lights up overhead, HVAC controls. Mentioned there, you've got your power point. On top of that, there's an emergency release in the back here to fold. From there, and then to get out, you can just tap this button. Oh, is it not going to work now? Oh, no way. Oh, you just got to push and hold. Oh, and that's going to fold it? No way. No way, Jose. Am I stuck back here now? Well, this is going to happen. There we go. All right. You've got a great amount of space inside of this ride, and it is feature packed. The rear end styling of the Escalade is solid. I love the LED lamps that you get inside of this. The choreographed dance in the back looks really nice. Love it. And then feature-wise back here, so technology, you've got the reverse park sensing system. There's a dual backup camera. On top of that, you've got the rear wiper. There's a camera washer, but there's also the option for utilizing one of those cameras in order to have a fully digital rear view mirror. Towing inside of the Escalade is possible. You're maxing out at 8,100 pounds when you go for the option directly from the factory. Overall capacity is going to depend on which drivetrain that you're in, and even comes down to your wheel choice, because if you go for the 24s, slightly has a negative impact on your overall towing capacity. And then actually opening up the liftgate can be done a couple different ways. So in the first row, next to the sunroof controls, there's a button there that you can push and hold in order to open this up. You can use the Keyfob to do it. You can take that big Cadillac badge in the back and push. And then there's also the option for a hands-free liftgate. So as long as you've got the Keyfob on you, just walk up towards the back end. You can hit the lock button to pause that process, but I love hand-free liftgates. They're fantastic. Then, feature-wise in the back, you've got this big speaker off to the left-hand side. Off to the right, same thing with a traditional wall plug. And then there are some releases for the second and third row seats, which I'll touch on in a second. There's a little storage tray back here, and lifting that up, you've got a teeny little storage area. And then you've also got the option for lifting that storage tray out, but there's nothing exciting underneath. Now, if you ever pop a tire, puncture a tire, the spare is located just underneath, so you could try to change it yourself. But one of the nice things about being a Cadillac owner is that you also have access to roadside assistance. So they can help out with tire changing, fuel delivery, lockout, winching services, and so many other things. So you could do it yourself, but you can also call in order to get somebody to do it for you too. And then folding down the seats. 60-40 bench in the third row. So along the side here, you can fold down the left or the right independently. So you're just going to push and hold. Down it goes. And that's the same thing for the second row. So you could technically lower the seats down from here, but if you don't need to get into the trunk area whatsoever, you can easily do it using that second row lever along the side of the seat. But to fold it down from the back, all you're going to do is double push, holding on the second to drop down, and I mean, that is a nice flat fold. There's a great amount of space inside of this ride. And then the cargo measurements that you're looking at, the ones behind the first row go from right where that trunk door would close to just in behind the little console armrest between the first row seats. So if the driver's seat, passenger seat were forwards or backwards, you'd gain or lose a little bit of extra space. And this also is the shorty. So if you have the extended length, you're also going to get a little bit of extra space in the back, actually about a foot or so, which is pretty solid. Then lifting the seats up. The second row seat, it is going to be manual to lift it back up again. So hopping into that second row, you're just going to grab the seat. Oh, and it just glides back up like a cloud. Love it. And then the third row seats are going to be a power up. All you're going to do is push and hold that button to raise it back up again. And you have to keep on pushing and holding, because if you let go, it's going to pause part way. And then all you have to worry about, popping that headrest up. Filling up fuel inside of the Escalade is done just along the driver's side. When the SUV is locked, the fuel door is also locked. So you just have to unlock in order to gain access. And it's a capless system that has anti-siphon technology built in. When you look at the fuel quality inside of the ride, the minimum manufacturer's recommendation versus the requirement inside of this are two separate things. So the minimum required fuel is an 87. The minimum recommended fuel is a premium 91. So do you need to use a premium fuel inside of the regular 6.2 liter V8? No, 87 is fine. But if you want the best possible performance and the best life for that engine, you're ideally using a 91 octane or higher if you can. I get it. Prices are a little bit crazy right now. They've at least come down, which is nice. So could you get away with using an 87 on the regular? Technically, yes. If you've got the V Series, go for that at least 91 for sure. If you're on a budget, I don't know why you'd be buying an Escalade anyways, but you could get away with using an 87 if you're in a pinch. So best possible performance is at least a 91. Minimum requirement is at least an 87. But do yourself a favor, at least hit that 89, but you'd be fine with a 91. That's where you get the best possible performance. If you're towing, you absolutely want to go for that higher octane fuel. This SUV is ridiculous. Overkill and a half for sure, but fun at the same time. Hold on, let's do some on-road handling here. Listen to that growl. Ooh, 6.2 liter V8 engine. Yeah. Handles well for a boat. Nice. Up to speed there was good. Comfort of the car is, well, SUV is definitely there. And full hands-free driving inside of this thing too, which, I mean, no complaints there at all. The vehicle does have active noise cancellation. And then as you get into some of the higher trims, it's a different type of active noise cancellation where it utilizes the speakers in order to essentially drown out the noise. And outside of a little bit of ambient road noise going highway speeds right now, you don't hear much at all. One thing that I'm actually really surprised about is when you're just cruising on the highway, how good your fuel economy can actually be. Especially if you're the type of driver where you're not gunning it all the time, but in stop and go traffic, I was averaging about 10.5 liters per 100 on the highway. I was able to get it down, I think, as low as 10.3, which is wild. And then if you look at the overall odometer, the trip counter on this one, so it hasn't been reset for a while, so it's a press car. So you have no idea how people are driving it, what they're driving, highways, interstates, city streets, etc. But it's averaged 14 liters per 100 for the last 3,000 kilometers, which for a vehicle this size, I think is pretty good at the same time. All right, let's hear that growl. That sounds so mean. I wasn't even in the sport mode there either, but oh, I love that growl. And that was everything you needed to know about the Cadillac Escalade. You can find all of the build details for this one down in the description, with links off to Cadillac Canada and US. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful. And until I see you next time, take care. And technology-wise, you've got the reverse park sensing. No. No. Bugger. Pourquoi?